Well, ladies and gentlemen, hope you got your protein shake and your almond butter and your sunflower seeds and your beard balm and your smile, because it is episode 93, Talking Shop. What are we doing here on this pod? We're making coaches happier and better and more equipped and more educated, thus making players happier and better, and they have a lust for life and a lust for the game. They want to extend their careers longer. That's what Talking Shop is. I'm Coach Ballgame. We got Coach Chop in the house. We got Coach Flicky in the house. And today we're answering your questions. That's what we're going to do it on every episode. Bring them in, bring your questions in, coachballgame@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at Coach Ballgame. But we're going to hit at least 3 of your questions each episode. So want to thank you listeners for tuning in and being here. Let's start with Choparooski. How you feeling? It's the start of September, baby.
Well, it feels great out here in the desert. It's starting to cool off at night, which is the first sign that you're getting closer to no more triple digits. So we got a hot week this week, and then we're crossing our fingers, and a lot of sunshine, and it's great. Yeah, club ball's going great. Kids are working their tails off, having a lot of fun, and homeschool's going great. We already got some work in this morning on the baseball field, and we've got a tea time for a little bit later today. So you'd love to see it.
Man,
Homeschool's for the boys.
thought maybe a little Bed Bath and Beyond trip
See if we'll have
might be in
time.
order, but
We'll
I
have
don't know
time.
if you have time with that tea time. Flick money in Seattle, Washington. I thought the sun was peeking out over your shoulders, but how's the weather there?
Coach could not be living a more opposite experience than the Choparooski. Okay, you hate to see it. Summer runs away from Seattle like my first seventh grade dance partner. Just a beeline for the corner, and it is about 61, overcast, and just ominously letting you know that it's going to be a long, cold, dark, wet winter here. But I'm happy to be here, Coach. Thrilled to be in the warmth of you and Choparooski's presence.
Man, well, we'll try and bring a little weekly warmth and joy from your computer screen as you might have to just move, brother. You might have to move to a different city, different state, different country. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but guys, this episode 93 brought to you by our playbook, the Coach Ball Game playbook, which we've had 2 launches of. There are recordings, and you can get them. Just go to my link tree in my bio, in my Instagram, my Facebook, and consume it. It is a starter kit of how to go about coaching kids, not just baseball, but any sport. Going through these pillars that we were talking about last week on the pod, and breaking it down, soup to nuts, A to Z, how to get you a little more comfy, and how to build trust and how to engage and how to wrangle, how to run great practices. So I'm going to be rolling out a new spotlight course on that Coach Ballgame University in the winter, and it's going to be the skills, and it's going to be skills from catching, throwing, hitting, fielding. It's going to be your starter kit for that, and I'll be in the backyard dialing in all those videos this winter. But the prerequisite to get that is you got to go in and get the starter kit first. You got to get these recordings because, and maybe I'll ask you guys, why is the psychology of coaching? Why is this building trust and these pillars, and your priorities? Why is it more important than teaching launch angle and backspin? Chopper, I'll start with you.
Yeah, because you want to coach the heart, and like you talked about last week, build trust, and that's the key. And then all the other stuff's great, and it's also important. But if you don't have that foundation of trust and love, you've got nothing. So we've got to grasp these young men and women, their heart, and we get them in, and once you get that, and they know you love them and you care about them, and they can trust you, now you can start worrying about the X's and O's. But yeah, it's a big deal, and the playbook is perfect for it. We dive in hard on how to coach the heart and win the heart. It's It's a must get.
Thank you. Yeah, I thank you both for being on it. Yeah, Flick Money and Chopper. We do a deep dive, and then Coach Queso. Big props to her. She has a whole baggage, a whole bucket, a whole basket of PDFs, and a Google slide deck that goes along with it, so it's very consumable. Had somebody buy the playbook and then reach out and say, "Hey, I fast forwarded through the 6 hours of Zooms. I didn't see any skill videos on how to teach hitting or catching or throwing." Well, I hear it. That's a fair question, but this is why we got a lot more important things to get to. Why Flick Money?
We are in the human development business as coaches. Math, the math tells us absolutely none of the kids we are coaching are going to go on to be big leaguers. But every one of the kids that we are coaching are going to go on to be citizens of our cities and towns, our states, our country, fathers, mothers, educators, public servants themselves. So we are here building human beings. The values that baseball has to teach, and there are many, will be taught by the game. And as we work through those challenges together, including launch angle and all that stuff, we're going to get to all that. But we're building humans here, and I think it's critically important. And I have not seen anything as an entry point to coaching a team. Nothing like what the playbook has what you've gathered. You've gathered a lot of wisdom from a lot of great folks and from your own heart. And I can't think of a better entry point, Coach.
Honored you guys would be with me on that journey, and it's just the start. We also want to thank you guys, our patrons, at patreon.com. I have graduated to calling you patrons, but you throw some bucks each month our way. Tommy Gold, it's helping him as he creates art on social media. And thank you. Thank you. If you want to support this podcast, patreon.com/chop and ball game. And boom, join the crew. We are going to be rolling out some perks for you. We have hired a new awesome gal. Her son at camp is Mr. Underpants, Captain Underpants. So she is Captain Underpants' mom, and we haven't found a nickname for her yet, but she's going to really help as we give you Patreon patrons a little extra. So look out for that. Sponsors, Warstick. You want to get a little something at Warstick? Go to their website, discount code Attaboy15. Flick Money's wearing the hat, and it's 15% off. So that's Warstick. They got it all. The bats, the gloves. They've got pickleball. They've got surfboards, and they've got fishing gear. They got it all. So that's Warstick. I love them so much. Also, Tanner Tees. If you want to work on your skills, go to Tanner Tees' website. Promo code Attaboy, 10% off for the month of September. Bang Biscuit. And then lastly, Mrs. Ballgame has worked tirelessly on our merch store. If you want an Attaboy or an Attagirl hat, she's lined up packets of stickers with all of my salutes. So our garage is dialed. It looks like a whole store down there. So get your stuff, get your swag, and give Mrs. Ballgame an Attagirl for shizzle my nizzle. I want to recap an explosive weekend before we get into our topics of the day. I went to the Field of Dreams in Iowa, and I ran a sandlot there. Why? Because my movie, Rally Caps, hits the world September 10th. Snaps for Lee Chipola, who's the writer, director, editor of that movie. He wanted to create a movie that mixes Sandlot and Field of Dreams, and he did it, man. It's a beautiful thing. I'm very proud of it. I get to be myself and just explore the space, which is my favorite saying when I step onto any movie set. I'm just going to try and explore the space. He allowed me to do that. But it's a beautiful story, and it's going to make you laugh, but bring your tissue box. It's going to make you cry too. As silly as I can be, I try to go the other way too. I want to make you cry in a good way, not the bad way, which is what we're trying to teach against here on this podcast. But went to Field of Dreams, and we wanted to have the biggest game of catch. So friend of the pod, he was on one of the earlier episodes back in season 1. Ethan Bryan came. He wrote a book about how he's played catch with different people in every state, just as therapy, just as a therapeutic, spiritual thing, to put his phone away and just conversate with somebody while playing catch through all walks of life. So we had about 200 people playing catch, fathers and sons, mothers, daughters, grandmas, grandpas, on the movie field, on the movie site, Field of Dreams. I went up by the house with the swing chair, and I took a video of all of that, and it was a beautiful thing. Right at sundown, I did my thing, coaching the kids, running the sandlot, and then a lot of the actors and producers came, and we had a Q&A before we screened the movie. Curtis Pride, the first full year player that was deaf to play, and the last deaf player since 1945 to play the game of baseball. He's there. His kids are in the movie. There's an element of overcoming adversity in that film. I don't want to spoil too much, but he plays a big part in that. So he's in the movie. He was there. It was just a special night. Most beautiful thing I saw was the director, Lee, who wrote the movie based on a book by Stephen and Jody Cutler. Props to them. But he got to play catch with his dad. He got to throw out the first pitch before the movie with his dad. And they watched Field of Dreams like every Friday night. So super special stuff. And then quick flight back home, we did the same thing right here in my backyard in Mission Viejo, California. And to see kids that I had coached 10 years ago now driving to this movie screening and bringing their lawn chairs and their girlfriends to watch the movie, it was a family reunion. It really was. And me and Mrs. Ballgame, we've been wanting to do that for a while, just to gather everybody, the OGs. And we did. We saw some faces we hadn't seen in a while. They brought their lawn chairs. We ran a sandlot for their kids first, and then the movie played. And boy, oh boy, we're ready. But we'll roll this thing out in 1 week's time, and you can find it on your streamer. It'll drop on Apple. It'll drop on Amazon. So my daughters say you just push a button and say Rally Caps into the remote control, and it pops right up. So I think it's magic. That's how you do it. But you can rent it, you can buy it, and then we'll find a solid streamer for it. Who knows? Hulu, Netflix, MySpace. They'll probably have a streamer by then, down the road in a couple months. So that's Rally Caps. That's Field of Dreams. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm not gonna
Movie
bogart
star
this.
salute, Coach.
Oh.
Just a Spielberg movie salute for you and the whole Rally Caps crew. Thanks for putting good work into the world.
Well, I don't want to bogart this too much, but there's a lot to recap. I just finished the first draft of my book, and I know a lot of you listeners have been waiting on this. It's been 4 years, a journey. So scholar salute, I'll take it. I said I'm not playing golf until I finish this first draft, and I did it. I have finished the first draft, and one of the things I lay out in that book is how my first love was acting and writing and creativity, and then I'm kind of marrying baseball and coaching kids with that love, and now to be able to have a movie about what I do, and the message is very clear in the movie as well of Coach Ballgame, full circle, really a cool thing. Super excited and honored big time. The book, it's a lot. So I'm very excited. I'll do a couple more edits of it, and then however you get a book out there, I think you got to find a publisher or something like that. But we'll get it out to you. It's going to be my pillars of coaching and how I got there. So all of my mentors, including you two, you're in there. You're highlighted with your beards, and then everybody I've met along the way that has helped me find these pillars of coaching. So that's very exciting. and super pumped. So last thing I'll say is we left last week's episode letting you know that I was about to be a dad, a softball dad. Avery Jean had her first softball practice last week. And you guys gave me some advice and I went with it. I made it a two-way street. I said, Avery Jean, you want me to be Coach Ballgame? You want me to be James Lowe? Well, what do you want? She said, just be dad. Just be my dad. So I showed up as dad and I tried to implement everything that you guys teach me on this podcast. But about 5 minutes in, the coach said, hey, parents, we need you. So get out of the bleachers and come on out. So dad went out there and took on the nickname Coach Peanut Butter and Jelly. So that's me, peanut butter and jelly, and I ran the outfield stations, tossing some fly balls. Made sure everybody had a nickname, of course, but I was just dad out there, and I gotta say, the most fun I've ever had coaching. Um, I I felt like I took Coach Ballgame's fedora hat off, which I did, and I just put on the dad hat, the Atta Girl shirt, and I was that. I was peanut butter and jelly, just trying to inject some joy and smiles into the kids and let the coach coach. So I took your advice and it went really well. And I said, Avery Jean, after the practice, I said that was the most fun I've ever had coaching, and she lit up. She was like, "You are really? Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah, that's for real." So Chopper, maybe you can speak to that as Coach Chop and also Dad Chop. Um, do you have those moments as well of, phew, this is different?
Yeah, I get those every day, especially with like one-on-one stuff. Being able to homeschool, we get to do a lot of just one-on-one. And just today with Bo, just kind of just I think I told him too, like, dude, I'm amazed by you. He brought up something where after practice yesterday, I kind of spotlighted a couple kids that I thought did really well. And Bo said, and Bo's excellent. We've talked about it a lot. And he's like, I thought you were going to say that I hit the ball really well last night. And I was like, Boaz, I could say that I'm amazed by you. I thought of that country song, every little thing that you do, I'm amazed by you. Like I was like, Bo, I will say that every practice if you want me to. I thought you knew it, but like you're I can't think of a better word than you're amazing. So yeah, it's coaching your kids, there's nothing better. And it's a blessing. It's anytime you can be active with your kids and seeing their joy and they're growing and it's just, yeah, it's man, if we could bottle this up, we're gonna miss it when it's gone, when they're older and they won't call us like I don't call my dad enough. But right now we're living the dream, boys.
Amazing stuff. Yeah, trying to find a bat that's a good size for her and a helmet with a mask. And we were 30 seconds late, so I encouraged her as a dad. Well, sometimes we're going to be late, but let's hustle. So once we get out of the car, we hustle, and then every time she didn't hustle as I was wanting her to hustle, I had to think, okay, what am I preaching on this podcast here? Because she's not doing what I want her to do. So yeah, I'll be learning a lot this year as dad and coach peanut butter and jelly. Last little thing here, and then we're going to get to our next three pillars. We're going to hit three pillars today. We hit three last week, which was build trust, communication, and culture, building a culture. We'll hit our next three today, and then we'll hit a couple of questions, and that'll be episode 93. My Sandlot tour hits the Midwest and the East Coast this coming week. Friday, we'll hit Milwaukee. If you're in that area, go the distance. I'm wearing my Go the Distance shirt today from the Field of Dreams. Go that distance. Then we hit the Chicago area for a doubleheader on Saturday. Frederick, Maryland on Sunday. That one's almost sold out, so jump in quick. And then up to the tri-state area, finishing up on Long Island. So that's the next swing of the Sandlot Tour. The end of this month, we'll hit the Southeast. We'll hit North Carolina hard, and we'll also hit Virginia and Georgia. So if you're anywhere near, please come. It is a glorified coaches clinic more than anything. We coach kids for 3 hours, but we have volunteer coaches in those areas that are learning. We have a pre-Sandlot Zoom, which is run by Coach Pterodactyl. Shout out to Andre Panagitopoulos, Coach Pterodactyl. He's running those to get you dialed in. And then we have an unpacking session as well. Flick Money and Chopper have hit the road with me many times before on these things. So dial that in. Anything else, coaches, before we jump into these pillars? Flick Money or Chop? Let's go wholeheartedly. My priority 2, right? Last week mine was build trust, number 1. If I'm going number 2, the pillar in my book that I just wrote, prioritize character development. I didn't do that at as a first year coach. I think skill development was my first priority. It was above building trust, and it was above prioritizing character. And if the kids weren't getting better at the game of baseball, I had just come out of a very competitive forum of college baseball, and seeing these kids not act like the 8-year-old version of me, it made me feel like a failure. So hitting these ground balls to these kids, they're not doing it correctly after the 3rd or 4th time I've taught them how to do it. I had mentors that would say, buddy, you're so energetic and I'm thankful you're here, but that kid is not the 8-year-old version of you. They have a different love language than you. They respond differently than you did to coaching. So once I started to prioritize character development and go, okay, I want this person to become a better human before they become a better baseball player, well, then a lot of things became clear. When somebody was bullying another child, I became sensitive to that. When someone wasn't uh, interested by the skills I was teaching, I became sensitive to that. And I said, okay, well, I want them to become a better person. That means I need their career to last longer. So they'll come back to me and I can coach them more life lessons. Okay, so I need to teach a different way. Maybe I'm coming a little hot. Let's go a little bit more with empathy. When I started to prioritize character, the award ceremonies at the end of practice became way more about who hustled today, who was kind today, instead of who hit the home run today, who throws it the fastest. And when you do that, going back to last week, the culture changes. Your culture goes from being, we're going to win and have the best players playing and specialize. We're going to make sure our best players playing shortstop every inning and then pitching a little bit. No, that's not it. The math says none of them will make it to the pros. Maybe 1% of the kids you coach in your lifetime will make it to college and play that sport, but they're all going to be adults, and they're all going to go to college. They're all going to be in tough situations where they lean on your life advice. So that's why that's my pillar. Chopper, let's start with you on character development. Why is that a priority for you too?
Yeah, it's we've just been said is who's going to be in the major leagues? Probably no one, but everyone can be a major league human. And so that's got to be the goal. And for those that say, well, no, my kid's got it. Okay, let's say he is one of the 1%. I'm not going to limit your son. If you believe that, that's great. You want to make sure that their character can sustain the level that their talent will take them. So either way, a both and, if you will. You've got to have the character piece to thrive off the field and to make an impact. You don't want to be that guy that's just selfish and only about himself, that lacks care and decision making. So let's go ahead and dial in the character and then let the talent take him wherever the good Lord wants him to go.
Yeah, friend of the pod, Grant Achilles, he came on as he's recruiting kids to play college baseball. Well-rounded athlete and high character. Boom. Those are his top 2. So if that's what college coaches are preaching, and that's what Doc Roberts at the highest level is preaching, then we as youth coaches, let's do it the same way. Now, the reason I didn't is because I was insecure at the very beginning of my coaching career. And I got anxious when I was insecure trying to wrangle these kids. So I got to command and I got to get them ready for the majors. That's where my instinct went. But luckily, Flick Money, he showed me, no, let's tell stories about Clemente and Jim Abbott. Let's give out awards for good choices. Let's build that type of culture. So Flick Money, why was that a priority for you?
Well, from a practical standpoint, when I coach teams, uh, the team doesn't function well or play well when kids are making choices to not be a great teammate, or showing really poor sportsmanship. Like those things have an impact on our team. So I think I started down that road sort of as there's a practical application. If I want my team to play well, we need to be on the same page about what kind of choices we're making within practice time, within a drill, how we treat our teammates off the field, on the way to the game, how we treat the opponents and the umpires. So it was important to me. I started down that road, and then the further I got into it and started playing teams that were, big time travel teams. I took a team to Cooperstown to the 12U, invite teams from all over the country tournament, and saw how stark it was when coaches were doing it the other way, the win at all costs, the screaming at kids, the really taking out their insecurities and frustrations onto children and onto the game. And when I saw that, I thought, okay, now I have a different mission. We're going to amp it up on the character development side because we need it. Our country needs it. Our communities need it. And the game of baseball needs it. And so, yeah, it was a no-brainer for me once I saw that.
Yeah, I think you as a coach too, when you're taking that approach, it takes a little pressure off of you because the kids they're never going to excel at the speed you see it in your head because everybody's on a different pace. You might have a few that do, but when there's a priority of character, the pressure is taken off of that, and it makes it more fun for you. It also creates a culture where the parents are encouraged to be kind as well, and be kind to umpires and be kind to you. One of the questions we have today is about communication between parents and coaches. So build that culture, prioritize character, bada bing, bada boom. Flick Money, I know you have a ringer as your second priority today. What do you got, brother?
My second pillar, coach, I simply call both and. It's the double win initiative. The double win is we are going to play to win. We are going to compete. We're going to get dirty. We're going to play hard. We're going to come out and we're going to attempt to play the game at the highest level and kick the other team's backsides. That's
The honkus, the
the honkus.
bahonkus.
That's right. And we're going to generate joy doing it. Joy in the dugout, joy getting on and off the field, joy in our approach, joy in how we just the whole experience. I'm coming for you coaches out there who believe that that joy is about participation trophies and softness and beta and blah blah blah. I'm coming for you because we are going to come out and we are going to play hard. I know the Flying Pigs are going to play hard, but we're not going to do it at the sacrifice of the kids loving and enjoying their experience being kids. Soon enough, they'll be paying bills. Soon enough, they'll be facing adult responsibilities. At this stage, as a steward of the game of baseball, I want to make sure that it's a both and situation. We are playing to win, and we are developing great, joyful humans who love the game. And fundamental for me.
Bang, timestamp that one. We'll be posting that to my social medias because Flick Money's coming. He's coming for you. I say the same thing, man. The ones that think, oh, it's either win or participation trophy and fluff. No, what? Why can't it be both? 100% balance. Find that balance. Chopper, I know you both and it, and you've seen coaches in the travel ball world that either or it. What do you got on that?
Yeah, I want to touch on just the misconception from some that like it's disrespectful to to go at another team with your very best. And I just think that's the opposite of the truth. We've had Hunter Pence on here, a friend of the pod, and I learned from him the purest form of respect for your opponent is competing as hard as you can against them. And both teams doing that out of respect. One team wins that day, the other team grows. You shake hands, you appreciate the fact that your opponent is the best version of themselves on that day, and you're doing the same in return out of respect. I think that's a really big thing that we miss in today's society, where everyone gets a trophy, and if just you got to go easy on people. No, go be your best and go as hard as you can go from your opponent.
100%. And you're going to shake hands afterwards and respect that team more if they went all in and tried to give you their best, because they're making you better. And then I've heard you say this on the pod, Chopper, afterwards, the losing team, you're going to let them know, isn't this exciting? We don't have it all figured out, and we can work on this next week, because the big picture is none of those kids are going to make it to the pros, but they're all going to have to tackle some adversity in their life. So again, human building, that's the business we're in, build those humans. Great. Anything before we hit Chopper's pillar to button up that both and?
Just from the character side, as we're shaking the other team's hand out of a deep respect for making us better, we're going to circle in and we're going to shake the umpire's hand and say, thanks for letting us have a game today. Without you, we would have had another practice, would have been another scrimmage, whether they were good, whether they were bad, whether they were honoring or having a great day. Really important. And that buttons up that character side for me too.
Boom. Absolutely. And thanks, Mr. Umpire or Mrs. Umpire, for taking the slings and arrows from the bleachers today. Those parents, they're growing. They are in a growth process. So thank you for taking those, because when you ask umpires, why are you out there making $25 for a 5-hour day getting yelled at, their answer is, I do this because it's what the kids need. The kids need me to call balls and strikes and call people out. That way we can actually have a game. So thank you. Choparewski, pillar number 2 for you. What do you got?
Yeah, today I wanted to talk about preparation and having a plan, having a roadmap and a process. So it starts with getting there early, making sure everything's set up and you're ready to go, showing that respect to the kids and the parents, that you value the time that they've given you to work on the skill. So get there early, be set up, be ready to go, have a practice plan. We've talked a few times on the pod, you don't have to be a slave to the practice plan. You've got to be flexible. If a drill's going long, embrace it. And if you see value in that, go ahead, and we can always push stuff to the next practice. Process over results. For us, it's play catch on defense, throw strikes, put the ball in play, and run the bases smart and aggressive. If we do those 4 things better every day that we go to work, we're going to put ourselves in a good spot. I hear this a lot from parents, and even some of my coaches sometimes will ask, like, hey man, how come we don't hit more? And my answer is, I'm not comfortable with where we are yet on playing catch. If we can play catch and throw strikes, we win. If you can hold your opponent to 4 runs or fewer, you win at every level, at the very, very highest level. The Dodgers' focus was 4 or fewer. Giants' focus was 4. There's the math behind that. Those teams average 5.3 runs a game. So you allow 4, you win. So even with these younger groups, also hitting is a one-on-one thing. You want to hit more? Go hit. I'll give you a bucket of baseballs. Get yourself a bow net and a tee and go hit. But like, I need to make sure we know where to go on the field. We're fundamentally sound. We're playing catch. We're picking kids off. We're mitigating runs. We're going to do all those things. And until we do that at the very highest level we can for our age group, we'll hit a little bit, but we're not going to hit a lot. And and you'll know when I feel comfortable, because all of a sudden we'll start having offensive rotations, which everyone's going to, eyes are going to lie like, oh, really? We're going to hit a bunch? Yeah, sure. We've earned it. But you've got to eat your vegetables first, in my opinion.
Bang. And we've laid out practice plans for you in the Coach Ballgame playbook. So that's a tease. If you want to jump on that, we do a real deep dive on preparation and having a roadmap, as Chopper says. Chopper, you can you tell the listener, how do you laminate your practice plans? Is it with like a Scotch thing, or is there a certain type of laminate that you use?
Yeah, it's right. It's Scott. It's right here.
It is. It is a Scotch.
Yeah. Can you
And
see that there? No, I got it
raise
to
it up. There it
higher.
is. If you're on the
Plugged in.
YouTube, yes, you
Yeah.
can see that
All
it's
right.
it kind of looks like one of those 3-hole punchers.
Yeah, and there's
But there you
there's the
go, and then
sheets.
it's all laminated. So
Yeah.
if you want to go above and beyond the night before, tuck those kids in after dinner, and then bang.
You're gonna cut the laminate. If you're gonna laminate, you better make sure it's dialed in and cut that thing. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. But hey, you talk about building a culture. If you spent an extra 3 minutes laminating and cutting that thing up, the assistant coaches are going to go, okay, well, this is for real here.
This is different. Yeah.
It is. My top, I want to make sure the kids had fun and want to come back tomorrow. And if you've laid out this plan for you and your coaches where it's going to be moving and at no point is anybody going to get bored, then they're going to come back tomorrow. So that's why that's a huge pillar. Bada bing, bada boom. Flick Money, anything from you on roadmap?
Well, I was going to jump on what both of you just said. I always built my plan to hit towards the end of practice. Kids love hitting, so I know they're going to pay attention when it's their turn to hit. So if I want to get some of that great defensive work and some of the skill development and some of the team concepts in, I get those in early at the peak of their attention, peak of their energy, and I know they're going to crank up their own attention towards the end for hitting, for offensive rotations. And the last thing, Coach, you talk about making it fun and making them want to come back. A good competition at the end, a good, fun, hard played competition, whether it's a scrimmage game, a Clemente style game, or some kind of drill work where there's something on it, whether it's, losing team does push-ups or something fun that they can compete over and can find some success in. I always found that was a great way to end exclamation point or dot it so that we come back to the next practice, and that's the vibe that's the wave we catch coming in. So there's some 2 little tricks of the practice planning.
Yeah. So last night, I had a practice plan dialed in, and our numbers were a little bit lower, being that it was a holiday weekend on a Monday night. And so I called them in for my, hey boys, we're going to exercise democracy here. We're going to take a vote. And one of my kids is like, oh, I hate politics, rolls his eyes. And I go, okay, well, we're just going to vote. We're just going to, the majority rules. No big deal. We're not going to get too deep, not going to do a deep dive on politics, but we're just going to vote. And so I gave them the option of like, hey, this is what I have planned. Or we can play 5v5v5 to your point with something on the line. We'll do a triangle for the 2 teams that don't win. And it was unanimous. They wanted to compete. So we did our work first. To your point, we always get our defense in first. Like that's every practice. Even if we're going to scrimmage, we're going to take some ground balls and some fly balls for 10 minutes, nothing crazy, but we're going to get our work in. That's just a daily thing. But it was cool to do the democratic version of a practice where I let the boys decide. And man, we competed last night. It was win the inning. It was intense. It was fun. There was game-winning hits because every inning you can have a walk-off. You do have a walk-off almost every inning because every inning you keep score, and then the 2 teams that don't win the inning run the triangle, and the other team's starting to lock back in to try to win that next inning. Did it for about an hour last night, and it was awesome, and it was not what I had planned. But the boys spoke, and it was fun, man. It was a good night.
Eye black salute, brother. Well done. Well done. Okay, now we're going to hit your questions, folks. And again, if you have questions that have been coming up in your fall leagues, please email me, coachballgame@gmail.com, or DM me on Instagram. I pop these on our text thread. We chew on them throughout the week and then talk about them on Tuesdays. First one has to do with joy, which we've talked about in our pillars, prioritizing joy. How do you apply your type of coaching to older kids? I was just hired as an assistant coach for our varsity team. The coaches are very military-like, and although they're all friends, I want to be that coach that is different than the others. I want my expectations to be known that there's joy here, and above winning, we want to teach love of play. So at the older level, I'll start with Flick Money and then go to Chopper on this one. What do you got for our coach?
Yeah, at that level, I think the both and is critical to keep in mind that you're playing in uniforms. Those scores are going to be in the newspaper. You're playing for potential championships, opportunities to extend your season. So the playing to win obviously is a part of that scenario. And I think you bringing that joyful side in, I will say, and Chopper has more experience with this than I do. When you're an assistant coach coming into a pre-existing head coach's culture, there's a way you have to move with that respectfully. It may not be a guns blazing day one. I'm going to undo everything that I see going on here and try to redo it. It's going to have to probably start by example. And then over time, as you earn not only the players' trust, but also your fellow coaches' trust, that they see how you prepare, how you come and support their efforts to win. And then over time, you're going to gain influence in how that culture unfolds. And I just know I had a very intense head high school coach and a very intense head college coach. And we always had assistants who were the glue guys, the love guys, the culture guys. And I think they knew that, and they know that they needed that, those head coaches. But they didn't just let anyone come in and do it. Someone had to earn their respect and their trust to offer them that sort of role of building that culture. So I would just move into it with the intention, and see if you can do it without even telling people what you're doing, in a very respectful way, and earn trust over time.
100%. Yeah, I think a practical way to start out is this next practice. Try to meet maybe half of the kids on the team and build trust with them by just asking them questions. Hey, man, what's your favorite class in school? Anything you're struggling with? Are things going good at home? You got any brothers and sisters? You got a nickname people call you? Just cruise around and ask questions as the kids roll through your station. If you want to prioritize joy, I think first things first, get to know them as a human. So I try and do that at a young age. I think it's even easier. Sometimes, maybe some of the kids hold back a little bit when they get older, and are a little too cool to open up. But yeah, that's a great place for you. I can remember we also had a very intense head coach in college, and after a rough year where I batted below what I wanted to, I didn't walk into his office. I walked into the assistant coach, who was the glue guy, who brought the love. And I said, "Hey, can you help me retool my swing?" And he was there. He was present every morning. He'd throw me 15 minutes of BP, and we worked on it. So be that guy. Chopper, what do you got?
Yeah, it kind of falls on the head coach. You've got to make sure you understand and with respect for him, and kind of, I would fill him in behind closed doors of what your intention is. Hey, my vision is to be the glue guy, to be this unconditional love, this underlying love for the kids, good cop, bad cop, whatever you want to call it. Are you comfortable with that? I'm always going to have your back, but I'm just trying to create this garden that's going to grow. I think that's Tim Corbin. I think that's Vanderbilt. He talked a lot about that of like the fruit or the vegetables of a garden. You want to create a soil that's gonna produce growth. So just making sure everyone knows what you're doing. And then you said it exactly right, both of you guys. It's unconditional love. It's being available. It's asking questions, getting to know the kids, and make sure they know that you are there for them. You're there to help them. You're there to comfort them. You're there to push them. You're there for them. How can I serve? And so, yeah, I think it's a beautiful opportunity. Truthfully, it's better than being a head coach. I have that in my program. My head assistant, Will Nicholas, is incredible. The kids love him. He is their favorite coach, and it makes me love him even more. Where you could have other coaches that wouldn't want that. Like, no, I've got to be the center of attention. It's like, no, dude, he's so special, and I'm so thankful for him. So like it's a really cool role. And you don't have to deal with parents. Being an assistant coach, when you have that right focus and lens of how can I love and serve, oof, that's the spot.
Bang. And when you get into practice plans and you start to notice as you're getting to know these kids, you know what? At the end of each practice, if we had like some kind of fun competition, You don't want to come out blazing like Flicky said, but maybe, when you go golfing with the head coach, you can throw a rock in his shoe and just say, hey, man, I'm loving this job. Thank you for having me. I hope I'm filling a gap to build this garden. One thing I've noticed, the kids love competition. So totally your call. But if you'd like, I can give you some things I'm hearing from the kids as far as enjoyment goes. Anything else there to wrap up that awesome first question? It's good. Good stuff. Well, communication, I think, is important. And the next one has to do with communicating effectively coach to parent. This is from a coach, and this is travel ball. Let's call it 12U. Oftentimes, parents will sit in the bleachers together and criticize the coaches or the practice plan. But they don't understand the long-term goals or the discussions that the coaching staff has been having. If they have questions as to why things are being done a certain way, they should have those conversations with the head coach and not the other parents. Obviously, the same happens about the game plan as well. I feel like this can tear otherwise a good team chemistry apart. What are your thoughts? So, Flick Money, let's start with you on this. I'm sure a lot of coaches out there listening to this pod can relate to that. What do you got?
Yeah, communication is key. We talked a little bit about this last week. One of my pillars was laying out a vision. And I know, Coach, you talk about building trust and with the adults as well. And there's no better way to do that than to bring people together. So you talked about maybe throwing some burgers on the grill in your backyard. If that's not something you're inclined to do, sitting down with inviting folks to a weekly or monthly coffee. Hey, anyone who wants to come and talk ball, learn about what I'm seeing, what our practice plans are like, where we're headed, can come meet us for coffee. I'll take your questions and I'll be as honest as I can. We won't talk as a culture rule. We won't talk about playing time. I'm not going to talk about playing time. I'm not going to talk about where they are in the lineup or positions. Those are our calls as a coaching staff, but I will talk about vision, to skill development, where we're headed. I think you have to communicate those things. Otherwise, people who lack understanding, or they're just so tied to what's happening with their kid, which we talked about all the reasons why that happens. They're only going to see it through, one sliver of the 360-degree perspective. And so we got to give them opportunities to learn and grow with their kids and with you. So communication's key in whatever format works for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, the burgers, the barbecue, it's huge. It will save you a lot down the road if you can make some burgers and hot dogs for all the parents and just listen to them, listen to their story, ask them questions. There's nothing more charming than somebody wanting to listen to you talk about yourself. So do that. Give that gift to all those parents, and then you can open up this is what we're going to do. This is our culture. This is what we have in mind. And these are our pillars for the year. So that trust factor is huge. I think if you just effectively communicate clearly your pillars before you listen to all the parents and their stories and build trust that way and build camaraderie, then you're going to get some of those parents that are like, oh, I don't like this guy. He's coming from a militant kind of place. Man, number one, build that trust. Chopper, what do you got on this topic of communication with the parents?
Yeah, I had it creep up my first year as a head coach at the high school level, and interesting situation. We were, for a number of reasons, we beat a team 37-0, and so what got back to me was some discontent by some parents in the stands. Why are we running up the score? Why isn't so and so doing X, Y, or Z? So didn't get overly concerned about it. Just called them with love and respect, and told them kind of what took place, and that we shut off the offense in the second inning. But at the same time, if a guy hits a ball deep and there's a runner on third, I'm gonna tag in advance, because these kids are trying to get to college, and 0 for 0 with a sack fly is different than an 0 for 1 because we don't tag and go. And that we're charged with being at a high level and playing at a high level. And that means competing in the box. We didn't take extra bases, but we still played the game the right way. If someone hit a ball in the gap, it was a double. Someone was on first and a guy hit a ball in the gap and they didn't have a good relay. He's going to score. It's an RBI. And so, I spoke with love and respect. I heard him out and I explained why we did it. I appreciated his perspective and I just asked him in the future just to come talk to me, because if we start doing things behind coaches' backs, it's not even about me. It comes back to what Flick said earlier about a team doesn't function well with bad teammates. Well, a team doesn't function well with bad parents either. And so you get that cancer and that second guessing. And there's that old adage that we lose kids at the dinner table. So you can have them bought in and all in, but if mom or dad starts second guessing and side conversationing stuff real quickly, the kids, you'll lose them. And so and this is what I went back to with this dad, wonderful human, incredible kids. But I was like, hey, for your sons, and both of them are on my team, we need to be on the same side of the rope pulling. So if you've got a question, just ask me. If someone's talking, like, I need you to have my back in the stands. We've got to have a good culture, a good environment. It's got to be love and respect. Something to say to me, say it. And I'm here and I'll listen. I'm all in. I love you guys. I'm partnering with you. But please come to me and please shut it down if it's in the stands. So because I treated him with love and respect, now I had an advocate in the stands, right? Instead of someone that was going to question what we're doing. And I also told him, like, I would rather you talk to me and ask me and question it. Like, that's not disrespectful. Like, that's the lesser of two evils. Because the other option is stuff grows behind my back, it becomes a cancer, second guessing. What are we doing? No, dude, just come to me, dude. And I'm open and I want to answer the question. And if I don't have a good reason, then I need to not do it again, right? Just like anything. If a kid questions you as a coach or a parent and you don't have a good reason why, they don't have to like the reason. You just have to be able to explain why you did it. Then you shouldn't do it if you don't have a good reason. But everything that came up in that game, I had a reason. I had to sit down with the AD as well. That other team posted something on Instagram, and like that became a whole thing where perceived as we're this Christian school and we weren't godly because we didn't take it easy on a team. And I had to just make sure that my AD knew, hey, we're preparing to be the best versions of ourselves. We shut down the offense in the second inning. Sorry, and we kept moving, but yeah.
One thing I just wanted to piggyback, Chopper, that if it's a general philosophy thing, I take the parents' questions directly. Yeah, come talk to me anytime. If it's a lineup thing, playing time thing, I really want that to come from the kids, because I want them to learn how to be adults who can advocate for themselves, who can look me in the eye and say, hey, this is what I want to be happening. I want to be playing short and hitting third. I notice I'm not getting to very often. What are you seeing? And I want the kids to approach it with that growth mindset of, how can I get better? What do I need to show you? What do I need to improve on if I want to be in that position more often? If it's an 8-year-old team, I might be like, hey, I'm rotating everyone because I want to see all of you learn all the positions. If it's a 12 or 13-year-old team, which it sounds like this kind of is, now we're starting to have some specialization conversations. And I'm going to say to the player, okay, you want to try to take so-and-so's spot? Okay, here's the growth opportunities for you. And what an opportunity. I love that you want to take that spot. And here's some things that we can work on. Here's some things that I'll commit to working on with you. But I really want that to come from the kids, because it's about their playing time. It's about their playing experience. And so I'm going to ask, as you did, parents, have my back in the stands. And I promise you, I will advocate for the development and growth of your child to be the player that they want to be and be in the positions they want to be in. We might be seeing it a little bit differently because, I've seen a lot of baseball and I'm looking at it from an adult perspective and a coaching perspective, and it might be different.
Yeah,
Good.
our rule, that was a high school program. Our rule is the kids run dry, especially playing time. The kids run that meeting. So if I have an issue with playing time, the kid's going to run it. The other parent's going to be there. I'm going to be there. The kid knows why he's not playing and he's going to run it. And then we'll talk about those growth opportunities, and we don't talk about other players. And that's how we do it. And the reason for that too is, Flick, what I've told parents is, to your point, what better opportunity for them to learn how to navigate and advocate for themselves? Because this is a loving environment with a coach who loves them unconditionally. And even after we have this meeting, I might be able to give him notes of like, hey, dude, next time phrase this way when you're talking to someone, a boss, about a promotion. But at some point, mom and dad have to let, for growth, their kid fight for themselves and advocate for themselves. So it's a beautiful opportunity. I think high school is the best age, but even to your point, 13 and 14, our 12-year-olds, we've had meetings where the kids are there and they run it. And sometimes it gets emotional, and that's okay too, and I can give them a big hug and explain to them, hey, this is why I did that. I'm not sure that I'm doing it right. And maybe I need to make an adjustment with how I evaluate and do things with playing time. But here's what you can work on. But dude, I love you. And like, if you're not on the field or in the position you want, that is not a reflection of how I feel about you. That this is a team with 12 other players. And we're trying to put that best field on the team for the group. But no, I love that. Yeah, the kids got to run it as you get older, for sure. Love that.
Thank Biscuit. I love all of this. I think that really equips you coaches to know how to go about it from the get-go. For this specific coach, where the cat is out of the bag, so to speak, you weren't able to get the season started like you wanted to with this barbecue, with this building trust. The parents are already talking behind your back. How can you approach it? Well, maybe you guys have a good answer. For me, I would kind of fall on the sword, so to speak, as the head coach, and just say, hey, I apologize. I did not set some clear expectations and build trust with all the parents first. I should have done that, didn't do it. I want to make up for that, and I want to get to know you guys and hear you out, listen to you and your child's journey, and see what your expectations are. If you can kind of backtrack a little bit and hear these parents out, then I think you can let them know, okay, I apologized. I want to let you know the expectations are, if you have something to say, come to me privately and let's talk about it. Let's not create this behind the back culture from the bleachers, and go about it that way. What do you guys think on that topic, Flick Money?
I think that'd be a great way to approach it. Go back and say, I accept responsibility. You're being concerned, competitive parents. I get it. I'm not blaming you. I didn't do what I wanted to do early on, but here's from this point forward. Here's how I would like to take this forward, and spend some time getting to know them, um, listening to their ideas, thoughts, concerns. Obviously, um, I think that would be a really great way to band-aid this and go forward, and hopefully, do some foundation re-cementing and building, as you move on.
Chopper.
Yeah. And know your why. Make sure mom and dad know why. Like, in order for our kids to have the best possible experience, we need to be on the same page. So I'm not saying I'm going to be perfect moving forward. I'm just asking for you guys to trust me, and I want to hear you out, and I want to hear your questions, concerns, and all that stuff. And I want to kind of share my heart and my vision and why I'm doing the things I want to do. But at the end of the day, if we can all just pull on the same side of the rope for this season, it's going to give our kids the best possible experience to grow and thrive. And so that's how I would handle it.
Beautiful. Well, it's so good spending an hour with you guys each week. It fills my soul. My passion bucket's full of big league chew gum and wisdom because of you guys. So I love you. I love your beards. You're handsome. And should we do it again next week?
Can't wait.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. What does RAKE stand for, Coach Chaparoo?
Random act of kindness every day. Rake.
Hit that up and bang.